You ended the relationship with a narcissist, and it seemed like everything was finally over. But one day they come back. Sweet, charming, even desperate. They want to fix things. They want forgiveness. They want back in. But this time you don't budge. You've learned. You're stronger. You don't respond. You don't open the door. You hold your boundaries and stick to no contact. And that's when the real storm begins. So what happens when a narcissist tries to get you back but fails? What do they think? What do they do? And more importantly, how can you protect yourself when they can't manipulate you anymore? In today's video, we're diving deep into the mind of a narcissist and why their behavior often becomes more extreme once their tricks stop working. From guilt trips and smear campaigns to the silent reverse Hoover tactic, you need to be prepared so you don't fall for it again. If you've ever been through a toxic relationship or you're in the healing process, this video is for you. Stick around until the end because I'll be sharing real tools and strategies to help you protect your peace and stay emotionally free no matter what they throw your way. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss powerful insights on narcissism, mental health, and personal healing. When a narcissist tries to come back into your life and fails, the first reaction is often to play the victim. Suddenly, they're no longer the one who gaslit you, manipulated you, or controlled every inch of your life. Now they're the hurt one, the abandoned, the one who just wants to be loved again. They'll say things like, "If you could leave me that easily, maybe you never really loved me, or I don't know how I'll survive without you." Sometimes with tears, trembling voices, dramatic performances that seem almost believable. Why do they do this? Because guilt is a powerful weapon, and if they can make you feel guilty, they know there's a chance you'll let them back in. And once they're back, they regain control. But here's the truth. Their regret isn't always real. It might just be a tactic, a scripted act to break your boundaries and lure you back into the same destructive cycle. And if guilt doesn't work, they switch gears. Some narcissists go into rage mode. They lash out, call you cold, accuse you of being heartless. They get aggressive emotionally, verbally, and sometimes even physically. This is a dangerous moment because now they're not just reacting, they're reacting to losing control. And for a narcissist, that's terrifying. You might see smear campaigns on social media, lies being spread to friends or family. All of this is bait. The goal is to make you react, because the moment you do, you've broken no contact and proven that they still matter to you. That's their win. Another manipulative move, the reverse Hoover. They disappear completely. No messages, no updates, no trace. It's not surrender. It's strategy. They know you're expecting chaos. But when nothing happens, you start wondering, have they really moved on? Are they okay? Was I too harsh? That self-doubt pulls you back. You check their profile. Maybe you send a message. And just like that, you hoovered them. See how subtle it is? Some narcissists don't need loud tactics to manipulate you. Silence is enough when timed perfectly. It's psychological warfare at its most refined. And what's worse? These behaviors aren't always linear. One day they cry, the next they rage, then they vanish. It's a mental chess game, and every move is designed to make you lose yourself. And that's when they deploy one of the most toxic tactics that many survivors of narcissistic abuse have experienced, smearing your name. They begin retelling your past story, but in a twisted, one-sided version, one where they are the helpless victim, and you are the cold, heartless, cruel villain. They say you were controlling, that you abandoned them without reason, that you betrayed them right when they needed you most. They write long, emotional social media posts. They share old photos. They might even reach out to your friends and family, the people they know you still care about, the ones whose opinions you still value. Why do they do this? Because they understand your psychology. They know you have a conscience. They know you're a good person. And they know exactly how much it hurts to be misunderstood and misrepresented. They count on the fact that you'll want to respond, to explain, to set the record straight. And that's the trap. The moment you react, even with a simple comment or a questioning message, you've stepped back onto the chessboard they've set up from the start. At that point, they're no longer the one who got rejected. They're the ones successfully provoking you, pulling you back under their control. A smear campaign isn't just about talking trash. It's a sophisticated psychological attack designed to make you panic, to question yourself, and ultimately to isolate you from your support system. Because when you start to feel like no one believes you, when people you once trusted begin to doubt you, you're more vulnerable. And that's when they slide back in with, "I just want one last conversation." Or, "You misunderstood me all along." So how do you handle it? The first and most important rule: do not engage publicly. No matter what they say, no matter how outrageous the lies are, remember this. Those who truly know you don't need an explanation. And those who are quick to believe the worst about you won't be convinced no matter what you say. Your silence in this case isn't weakness. On the contrary, it's strength. It's self-preservation. It's how you protect your energy and clarity, and most of all, how you avoid fueling the drama they desperately want to keep alive. That doesn't mean you need to stay silent forever. With the people who genuinely matter, your family, your closest friends, or trusted colleagues, you can choose to share the truth calmly, briefly, and directly. You might say something like, "I understand you may have heard some things about me. I'm not here to argue or fight, but if you ever want to hear my side, I'm open to a private conversation." That's it. You're not playing their game, but you're also not leaving your integrity undefended. Also, save everything. Take screenshots of the posts, messages, and false claims. Don't react. Don't confront them with it. Just keep it as a form of emotional insurance. If they escalate, if it reaches a point where legal protection is necessary, you'll have the documentation to show you weren't making it up. And most importantly, let your life be your response. Keep moving forward. Keep healing. Keep living with integrity. Rebuild your image through your actions, not your words. When you don't fight back, don't explain, and yet you continue to thrive, people will start to wonder, can someone that grounded, that calm, that strong, really be the villain they say? A smear campaign only works if you play into it, but if you refuse to follow their rules, the entire thing begins to lose power. They may speak 100 lies, but the truth only needs one unwavering silence and one healthy, radiant life to outshine them all. But what if the smear campaign didn't bring you down? What if you didn't react, didn't speak up, didn't fall into the traps of anger or self-pity they laid out for you? Don't breathe a sigh of relief just yet. Because when they can't attack you with words anymore, they begin watching you silently with eyes hidden in the dark. No more tear-filled posts. No more public slander. They go quiet. But don't let the silence fool you. It's not a sign that they've let go. It's just the beginning of a new strategy. The narcissist starts monitoring you from a distance. They watch your stories from anonymous accounts. They create fake profiles or use mutual friends' accounts to gain access. They reach out to people close to you under the guise of checking in, but in truth, they're fishing for updates, gathering details about your current life. They're not doing it because they still love you. They're not doing it out of concern for your happiness. They're doing it because they can't stand the thought of being shut out of your life without any control. In their world, you don't get to live in peace unless they are still at the center of it. They need to know what you're doing. Are you still thinking about them? Have you moved on? Are you succeeding, smiling, being loved without them? And if the answer is yes, if they see that you are calm, free, and glowing, That's when their silent rage ignites. To a narcissist, the image of you thriving without them is one of the deepest wounds. And that pain, they're not going to carry it alone. They'll start planning their return. But this time, not with empty apologies or familiar begging. This time, they'll come back with tactics that are more subtle, more calculated, and far more dangerous. It might be a random phone call, a message passed through a mutual friend, a gesture of fake concern disguised as a simple birthday wish. They know you're stronger now, so they won't confront you head-on. They'll circle around. They'll shapeshift. They'll wear a new mask, one that looks kind, remorseful, and more emotionally mature. But never forget, the core doesn't change. A narcissist doesn't become a decent person just because you went no contact. They simply learn to adjust their strategy because the old tricks stopped working. And if you allow them access even through the smallest crack, they will walk right back in. And this time they won't let you leave so easily. They've smeared your name. They've tried to turn your friends and family against you. They've quietly stalked you from the shadows just to confirm one thing: you're doing fine without them. And when none of that is enough to pull you back, they reach for a weapon that worked so well in the past: gaslighting. But this time, it doesn't come through shouting matches or direct accusations. This time, it comes through subtle, poisonous suggestions scattered across social media, passed through mutual friends, or slipped into vague messages. I just hope one day she wakes up. Maybe someday he'll realize who truly loved him. Some people are willing to destroy a whole family just to protect their ego. No names are mentioned. No direct confrontations. Just a carefully timed drip of emotional manipulation meant for your eyes, your ears, your mind. And they're not hoping for a debate. What they're really after is that one moment where you start to question yourself. Was I too cold? Should I have given them one more chance? Maybe they really are trying to change. This is gaslighting at its highest level, where they don't even have to be present yet. They still manage to make you doubt your own reality. Why is this kind of gaslighting so dangerous? Because it doesn't look like abuse. It doesn't shout. It doesn't slam doors. It whispers. You don't see it coming. You can't easily name it. And by the time you feel its effects, you're already spiraling. You find yourself checking their social media more than you should. You start wondering who's still talking to them. You feel a strange guilt, but you can't explain why. And worst of all, you start to flip the story in your head. You begin to think maybe they were the ones who were abandoned. Maybe they're the ones in pain. Maybe you're the one who walked away too fast, too harshly, too soon. Why does it work? Because gaslighting targets the most vulnerable part of anyone who's ever loved deeply: guilt. If you left a narcissist, especially if you're someone with empathy, with a moral compass, you probably carried some level of internal conflict. Even if you know logically that you had to leave to protect yourself, there's still that little voice inside that asks, what if I just tried one more time? They know that. They count on it. They don't need to push you. They just plant the seed and let you push yourself. How to tell if you're being gaslit indirectly? Here are some signs you're caught in the web of indirect gaslighting. You find yourself thinking about them more often, even though you've cut contact. You start to doubt your own choices despite once being sure. You feel a vague sense of guilt or shame with no clear reason. You're tempted to check their posts, their stories, their likes, almost without realizing you're doing it. This isn't coincidence. It's the result of psychological conditioning. So how do you protect yourself? Step 1. Acknowledge it for what it is. This is real. You're not too sensitive. You're not making it up. You're experiencing a covert manipulation tactic, and the moment you name it, you reclaim some of your power. Step 2. Cut off their access to your mind. Block the account. Unfollow. Mute the mutual friends who relay their words. Don't check their stories. Don't just look real quick. Every view you give them is an invitation back into your head. Step 3. Write the truth. Your truth. Journal. Write it on your phone. Say it out loud if you have to. I left because I was being hurt. I chose freedom because I deserve peace. I didn't destroy anything, I survived something. Repeat it whenever you feel your strength slipping. And most importantly, never confuse silence with change. Someone can be silent for weeks, months, not because they've matured, but because they're watching, waiting, and calculating their next move. A person who truly regrets hurting you doesn't play games with your mind. They don't leave cryptic messages. They don't manipulate from the sidelines. They don't make you question your own healing. Because real remorse is gentle, honest, transparent. Gaslighting, no matter how quiet, is still abuse. And you don't need to react. You don't need to defend. You only need to see it, name it, and keep walking. In the next part, we'll dive into one of the most emotionally charged tactics of all, when the narcissist plays the self-harm card, threatening pain or suicide if you don't return. It's a tactic designed to paralyze you with guilt, but once you understand it, you'll never be held hostage by it again. When every other tactic has failed, when you didn't respond to the smear campaign, when you didn't flinch at their passive-aggressive posts, when you stood firm, unmoved, and unwavering, that's when the narcissist plays their final and most dangerous card. They threaten to hurt themselves. They may tell you they're desperate, that they have nothing left to live for, that if you don't come back, they won't survive. They might say things like, "Maybe only if I disappear she'll realize how much I mattered." Or, "If I'm not around one day, it'll be your fault." Or, "Soon everyone will understand why I couldn't go on." At first glance, it sounds like a cry for help. It sounds like someone in true emotional crisis. But in many cases, this isn't genuine suffering. It's a calculated move, an emotionally manipulative tactic meant to dig into your deepest vulnerability, guilt. You'll start asking yourself, but what if they really do something to themselves, and just like that, they've pulled you back into the emotional prison you fought so hard to escape? You're not returning out of love or hope. You're returning out of fear. And that's exactly what they want. They don't need you to care. They need you to feel responsible. But you need to understand something absolutely critical: threatening self-harm as a way to manipulate someone is emotional abuse. It is not vulnerability. It is not love. It is not someone seeking help. It's a weapon that shackles you with shame, one that convinces you that their life, their survival depends on you, and if you don't comply, whatever happens is your fault. In that twisted version of the story, your desire for peace becomes cruelty. Your silence becomes violence. Your boundaries become punishment. But here's the truth: you are not responsible for someone else's choices. You didn't cause their pain. You didn't force their hand. You left because you needed to save yourself, and no one has the right to punish you for that. If they are genuinely in psychological crisis, they need a therapist, a crisis hotline, their family, or a mental health professional. They don't need you. You're not their doctor. You're not their savior, and you cannot love them into healing. So what do you do when they threaten self-harm? First, don't respond emotionally. Don't let yourself be pulled into a panic-driven, guilt-laced conversation. Second, pass the information to the appropriate people. If you believe the threat is serious, contact their family, their therapist, if applicable, or emergency services. That's the responsible thing to do. That's compassion with boundaries. And third, and this is vital, do not go back. Not to protect them. Not to ease your conscience, not to silence your fear. Because going back won't save them, but it will cost you. It will cost your peace, your safety, your hard-earned freedom. And worst of all, it will confirm to them that emotional blackmail works. A person who genuinely needs help will seek therapy. A person who genuinely regrets their behavior will respect your silence. A person who truly loves you will not use life or death as a tool to keep you tethered to them. If they ever loved you, they'll let you go. If they ever respected you, they won't trap you in fear. And if they truly want to heal, they'll do it on their own without demanding that you carry their weight. This is their final tactic, their emotional ultimatum. But you must not let it be the one that pulls you back, because returning won't save them. It will only sacrifice you. Remember, compassion is strength, but without boundaries, it becomes an entry point for manipulation. You are allowed to care, but you are also allowed to walk away. And no one, no matter how desperate, has the right to hold your freedom hostage with a threat. After all the manipulation tactics, even when they pulled their final move threatening to harm themselves if you didn't return, you chose to stand firm. You didn't respond out of fear. You didn't let guilt dictate your decisions. You didn't go back. And that right there is the beginning of something new. Not a battle with the narcissist, but the journey back to yourself. The journey of healing. Leaving a narcissist isn't just about ending a relationship. It's the process of slowly untangling an invisible cord that's been wrapped around your mind, your self-worth, and your identity for far too long. A cord that wasn't tied with love, but with manipulation, fear, false hope, and guilt. And if you're here now reading these words, then I want you to know you've already done the bravest thing. Not because you left them, but because you chose to return to yourself. Healing is not about forgetting. It's about looking directly at what happened and no longer blaming yourself for it. Maybe you remember a moment when they cried and you believed them. A time they told you you were too sensitive and you started doubting your own voice. Maybe you asked yourself, was I the problem? But you weren't wrong for loving. You weren't weak for hoping. You were simply someone trying to hold on to something you thought was real until you finally saw it wasn't love, not healthy love. And here's the truth. You don't need to label yourself a victim to deserve healing. You don't need to hate them. You don't need revenge. You just need the courage to say, yes, I was hurt. But now I am choosing to move forward with awareness and grace. And that alone reclaims a kind of freedom that no one else can take from you. The freedom to stop begging for love, to stop explaining your worth, to stop performing for someone who never really saw you. So, where do you begin? You begin with you. You take time to listen to the parts of you that were silenced. You write. You sit with your feelings. You give yourself the space to ask, what do I truly want, not to please anyone else, but for my own peace? Slowly you start to rebuild trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Because after being constantly invalidated, you might have started to doubt your instincts, but now you get to believe in them again. You get to believe that your feelings are valid, that your boundaries matter, that you deserve safety, not survival. Healing is also about learning to say no without guilt. It's about setting boundaries and not apologizing for them. It's about accepting that not everyone will understand your decision, and they don't have to. They don't live your life. You do. And when there are days you still feel pain, still feel confusion, still feel that pull, remind yourself that healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong, some days you'll feel lost. That doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're real, and you're healing for real. And one day on a quiet, ordinary morning, you'll wake up and not check your phone for their message. A song that used to make your chest ache will just be a song. A memory will pass through your mind without holding you hostage. You'll look in the mirror and not see someone broken, You'll see someone who survived, someone who chose herself, someone who came back. You won't wish for them to come back anymore, not because you hate them, but because you no longer need them to feel worthy. You've become whole on your own. You always were. Remember, healing doesn't make you perfect. It simply brings you back to yourself, whole, grounded, free. And if you're somewhere on that path right now, moving slowly, sometimes stumbling, often alone, please know this: you are still moving forward. Keep going. You are not alone. And you deserve a life that's not built around proving your worth to anyone, but shaped by the choices you make, rooted in love for yourself.
In the end, the scariest thing isn't that the narcissist might come back. It's that you might return to the pain that once nearly broke you. But if you've made it this far, it means you've already walked through the darkest part of the journey. Now, with every day you choose peace, you take another step away from that shadow. Remember, you don't need anyone to validate your worth. You don't need love that's built on pity, fear, or conditions. You don't have to try harder to deserve respect. You are worthy simply because you exist. Healing is not a destination. Healing is a promise you make to yourself. From now on, I will not allow anyone, not even myself, to make me forget my own value. And in that moment, you are no longer a victim. You are a survivor, a creator, a person starting again, this time with yourself. Thank you for walking with me all the way to the end of this journey. If you see yourself in these words, know this: you are not alone. You have every right to rise, to say, "That's enough." To rebuild a life where peace is no longer something you have to sacrifice. Continue to protect your heart, not through hardness, but through truth. And the truth is, you are stronger than you think. And the best things in life, they're still ahead of you.